All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I wanted to make that post-mortem on the Stamina Spirit build for leveling as a paladin. So I made a ton of videos about the lower leveling experience, level 20 to level 30, and then I made a bunch of videos on the level 40-ish experience. But I was very curious what the levels past that would be, because I've never actually gone all the way to 60 with Stamina Spirit gear. And it ended up working out just fine. The my AOE capability at the later levels, like past level 40, actually kind of surprised me. So once I had Blessing of Sanctuary and all that good stuff, it actually kind of surprised me that I could pull 4 mobs and burn them down pretty easily in the Stamina Spirit gear. I was in pure Stamina Spirit gear, so I didn't have any of the owl pieces, which meant that I often, if I was pulling 4 mobs, I often had to use bubble, and I had to bubble bandage myself. But it was within tolerances where I could tell that if I was wearing any amount of the eagle gear, of the eagle neck, of the eagle rings, of the eagle cloak, I wouldn't really have to bubble and bandage very often at all. 3 mobs was not a problem in the slightest. Who the fuck does this? Huh. Oh, people come out here and mine, and then their Alterac Valley pops. Okay, that makes sense. I did start... The build doesn't do very good if your gear is significantly out of date. So for example, I made that video where I only upgrade my gear every 10 levels. I was in Unguro Crater in pure Stamina Spirit gear, level 40 plate mail gear, and dear God, could I feel it? I still have some of that. My boots are still level 40 Stamina Spirit gear on this character. But what had happened at that point in Unguro Crater was I was in level 40 Stamina Spirit gear, but I was switching out pieces to Light Forge bits. I still have a few of the Light Forge bits here. Bracers level 52 and the level 53, level 54, like that sort of a thing. And it was at that point when my gear got outdated enough that the build started breaking down. Didn't really break down in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I still had 33 second, 35 second kill timers in Unguro Crater against mobs that were equal level to me with a two-handed weapon. I think at the time I was using Ice Barb Spear. I was level 43 in Unguro Crater. But I did notice that I couldn't support Consecration for damage anymore. We're going to have to go someplace else. This is way too close to Alterac Mountains. Definitely going to have to, once my Hearthstone is available, have to go to a different mining area. Interesting. We'll stick with some herbs for a while then. Okay, so what happens in Classic World of Warcraft, just a TLDR, right? Just so we're all on the same page here, is that early on in your leveling, your base spirit regeneration is incredibly high, so you can pretty much wear whatever gear you want and not really notice anything. On top of that, the mobs die super quickly. You'll have between 15 to 20 second kill times on the mobs prior to being level 30. That's what I want to say. It's literally at level 31 that the mobs get some kind of a noticeable power spike, and suddenly you're taking not 20 seconds to kill them. It's 25 to 30 seconds to kill them. So when you're in Stranglethorn Vale, for example, you're really noticing that you're taking a lot longer to kill the mobs. Leveling takes a lot longer. Everything is just taking longer, right? On top of that, your stamina spirit regeneration basically falls off a cliff. Your character basically has a metric shit ton of innate spirit regeneration that does not scale very well with level at all. So when you get into the later levels, if you don't have stamina spirit gear, you really notice that you don't have stamina spirit gear. You're like, holy crap, my mana regeneration just isn't that great. These mobs are taking forever to die, blah, 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 blah. However, where it really gets scary is level 41 and up. I did a video a while ago, a stamina spirit geared video, where I actually went out with just enough spell power so that my consecrations, my max rank consecrations would do 50 damage a tick. And I actually recorded how much HP and how much damage. I had like 50% armor at the same time. How much HP and how much damage each of the mobs have at what level. And they start out having about 2,200 HP at level 40. And then by the time you're like level 48 with the mobs, they're like 4,500, 4,800 HP. So the HP of the mobs begins to skyrocket past level 40, like level 41 and up. The HP of the mobs stops screwing around. So it takes longer and longer for you to kill the mobs. Yeah, there we go. So it takes noticeably longer and longer for you to kill the mobs. You basically have two options as a paladin. You can either go the AoE farming route, which is pretty decent. It'll give you like about a 22-25 second kill time on mobs, which is respectable. Or you can do like the two-handed, like, you know, stamina, spirit, stamina, strength gear. Once you factor in recovery time and all that stuff, you're looking at like maybe a 33-second kill time. Your goal is to keep your kill times somewhere around the 33-second mark, 35-second mark. Basically, why is that? Well, because if you run up to the mob, like hit them, Judge Crusader on them, seal righteousness, put down a consecration. By the time you're doing done doing all that stuff, it's basically your seal is going to last 30 seconds, right? But the initial time that you're taking to Judge Crusader on them and bitch slap them and exorcism them or whatever the hell it is that you're doing to them, the seal, you'll have the seal uptime for about 33 seconds. Where the fuck is this herb? Like, what's going on here? Thank you, tree. What I'm trying to explain is that your goal as a paladin while leveling, while beating on something, is to only use one seal to kill them, and to kill them within the time span of a single 30-second seal. If you are forced to reseal, pretty much for whatever reason, it's usually bad. The only exception to this is, so when the mob gets to, like, you know, 15% life or something like that, I like to judge my righteousness into them and then reseal a Crusader, and then I'll finish them off with Crusader. And even though there's a DPS loss because I'm trying to finish them off with Crusader and not Seal of Righteousness with a Judgment of Crusader on them, so you run up to the mob. We'll just do it here really fast. These guys are going to die super quick. I'll use my Blade of Hana just to showcase. All right, so usually what you're doing as a paladin is you're like running up, you're judging Crusader, you're resealing righteousness, you're blasting them, and then you're like beating the crap out of them, right? And I'll stop attacking here for a hot sec because this mob is dying too quickly. But in the later stages of the leveling, you'll be beating on the mob, you'll be beating on the mob, you'll be beating on the mob, and then this seal will get pretty close to wearing off, and the mob will still have like plenty of life left over. And then what I like to do is I like to judge the righteousness into the mob and then reseal Crusader, and then I'll just finish them off with Crusader. And this gives time for my judgment to come off a cooldown and be available by the time I'm up to the next mob. Because in the later levels, whether I'm judging Crusader on a mob or not really depends upon how long the mob is taking to die. If the mob is dying in a reasonably timely manner, I don't bother judging Crusader on them because you're not going to get enough damage out of the Crusader to make it worth your time. But if the mob is taking 25-30 seconds to die, it's usually best to judge Crusader on them, especially with the faster two-handed weapons. But yeah, so I was in Anguro Crater, and I was just on the borderline of things. So the mobs are taking like 33 seconds to die, which is definitely within Judge Seal of Righteousness into them, and I finished them off with Judgment of Crusader. So everything was fine. My gear was incredibly out of date, though. What I noticed I could not do is I couldn't support Consecration. So I was literally just running up to mobs and judging Crusader and beating them to death with Seal of Righteousness with a two-handed weapon. I could not afford to put a Consecration into them. What else is there to say? But I was wondering if my gear was not so horrifyingly out of date and it was still stamina spirit gear, would I be able to put a consecration into them? And I think the answer is yes. I could have definitely downranked the consecration, like used rank 1, rank 2, somewhere around there. So the build is 100% perfectly viable. But it was around about that level I'm switching out to the Light Forge pieces. Light Forge pieces still has a fair amount of spirit on it. But, like, level 34, you're going into Blackrock Depths, and you're actually starting to change your gear. The gear that I really wanted out of Blackrock Depths are the shoulder pieces off of Golemag, or whatever no, his name is like Roko, or whatever the heck it is. The elemental boss right by the arena. Those drop off him. The shield drops off him. It's really good. What else did I want out of there? I wanted my cape, which I don't have right now. There's a cape that is slightly better than this. It's like stamina, intellect. I think it also has spirit on it and spell power, but also has 14 magic damage. This one's just better for tanking and for PvP, so that's why I have it on right now. I am a dwarf, so stacking frost resist is not the worst thing in the world. So you can see I have 85 frost resist without enchantments on right now. That's actually pretty damn good. Where's my Hearthstone? We need to get the hell out of here. Nope. So yeah, so I was surprised at how well the build held up for AoE, even though I'd done the math on it before. So I knew it should be viable with AoE. I didn't test Holy Shield. Holy Shield, in my opinion, is kind of a waste of mana. You can 100% use Holy Shield, even in single target fights, but you don't really get to decide when you use Holy Shield. It's basically like when your readout procs in like a 1v1, then you activate Holy Shield. You can if you have a large pack of mobs, you can just Holy Shield whenever you want to, and it'll be fine. But again, if I can't support the mana for Consecration, how the hell am I going to support the mana for Holy Shield is a legitimate question on my mind. So I didn't bother with Holy Shield. I don't think she's worth... her damage to mana ratio is quite bad. It gets a little bit better with spell power gear, but generally speaking, it's pretty terrible. What else is there to say? I did use this build. This build's a little bit messed up. I should have one more point in improved Hammer of Justice. I don't. It's got 11 points in Consecration. It's got Blessing of Sanctuary and Reckoning. And then I basically went down and put points into, 5 out of 5 parry. 5 out of 5 parry for Reckoning is going to move the needle more than just about anything else that you can possibly do. Let's switch on over to this. Yes, sir. Yeah, so I have a Holy Reckoning build, of course, that has all the talents needed in Holy Reckoning. But for tanking and whatnot, and for even leveling, I found that the parry haste is probably just better in the grand scheme of things. The free crit heal that you'll get out of Holy Reckoning, which you don't get for like a million years, right? That's tin. Tin is kind of not worth anything right now on the auction house. Holy Reckoning. What do we want to say about it? Right, so by the time I get deep enough into the Holy Tree that I'm actually able to pick up Divine Favor, it's not very pretty. Like, I'm like level 58 or something stupid like that. Whereas I was like level 54 and I was like maxing out my deflection with the other build. So it just ended up moving the needle significantly more. Yeah. What is there to say? There has to be a way for me to do it better. I think if I had more of the owl gear, it would have definitely helped. I think if I had upgraded my gear at around like level 46, level 47, or maybe level 48, somewhere around there, and even level 50, it would have done a lot better. But at that point, I really didn't care. I was just like, let's just hammer out these last 4 levels and get into BRD. But yeah, no, it worked swimmingly. If I had to compare it to every other paladin that I've ever played, so I've leveled pretty much every paladin that there is, unfortunately. So I've gone all the way to 60 using strength, stamina, like, Reckoning. This was back when we could do the sit crit thing. I did that. It almost killed my wrists, but it was, and I hated it. I've leveled as the Stamina Intellect AoE farm paladin, and I also hated it, but for completely different reasons. The AoE farm is really, really good, but you hate certain level ranges because water is incredibly out of date. You basically live and breathe off of mage water. This was before I started getting into any kind of the owl gear, just so we're clear. Of the owl gear certainly helps your AoE farming 110,000%. As a paladin, because you don't need that super thick mana bar. You just want the spirit to help you recover. There's like a minute of recovery time on the Stamina Intellect Paladin, and it's absolutely atrocious. But there are levels where the water is, you're basically drinking mud, and the fact that you have like a minute recovery time is just unacceptable on that build. But I would 100% level the AoE Paladin. I consider it to be like the best leveling experience in the entire game. But the Stamina Spirit Paladin is amazing for single target. Does significantly better for single target. It's a noticeably better tank in dungeons. You can't heal dungeons. It's funner, in my opinion. I don't drink as much. I have more gold to play with. I think Stamina Intellect and Stamina Spirit Paladin are basically identical to each other in the grand scheme of things. But you're going to suffer different under different circumstances is the best way I could explain that. So Stamina Spirit suffers. Let me think about this. No, she doesn't really suffer that much. Yeah, no. I guess Stamina Spirit gear just is very consistent all the way to 60. If I stop and think about it, like honestly, like almost nothing changes. Your experience in Stranglethorn Vale is going to be your experience in Unguro Crater is going to be your experience in BRD. Whereas the Stamina Intellect gear, the AoE farming build is really, really good under right circumstances, and then it's not as good as the Stamina Spirit gear under other circumstances. And then when your water is out of date, it sucks. If you don't have a good AoE farming area, it sucks. There's a lot of like pain points for the AoE farming build as a paladin. Bro, you're level 41. What are you doing out here? Good luck to you, sir. But yeah, no, the Stamina Spirit build was surprisingly effective all the way to 60. Like, I was actually very, very impressed at how effective it was. The AoE farming is less effective. It's not bad if you use bandages. The AoE farming is noticeably less effective than the of the Eagle gear. But it is so much easier to find 3 or 4 mobs in the open world to pull together and burn them down. And when you drink, there is no, my mage water is incredibly out of date, therefore the drinking is terrible. Your recovery time after drinking with the Stamina Spirit gear is incredibly quick. It was 20 seconds of drinking and you're up again looking for another 3 to 4 mobs to pull. That was absolutely awesome. Really, really, really enjoyed that. And the single target is also extremely good. Oh my god, I never put on my weapon. I was like, wow, these guys aren't dying at all. That's really fascinating. Bonk. There was something interesting I think about when it came to... I'll be log out here really fast. So now that I'm level 60, my life is very interesting. I made a list of places that I need to go and things that I need to get. I'm not super interested in getting BIS healing raid gear because soft reserve pugging seems to be the meta right now if you're not in a guild. And Blackwing Lair isn't out yet, so everyone's just pugging Molten Core. So I'm just interested in getting a bunch of secondary tier, easy to get plus healing gear so I can kind of sort of go into raid. But after looking at it, I was like, well, I'm going to be rank 10 pretty soon. A lot of us are going to be rank 10 pretty soon. So I wanted to check out gearing. Let's go law. Yeah, the bracers. I think there's also a belt here, if I recall correctly. 200. You got 300 gold for Lawbringer's bracers. Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, well, what are we doing? All right, armor, plate, wrist. Why are we selling these for 300 gold? What are we doing? Yeah. Well, come BWL, that price tag should drop into oblivion. But I'm not paying 300 gold for a pair of shitty ass bracers. It is an all stats gears bracers, which I can get behind, but that is hilariously atrocious. Heck, these honestly, these dark iron bracers are probably better. Bracers of Vala. Interesting. But if I recall correctly, let me pause the video really fast. Let me go look it up, apparently, because that's what I have to do. Yeah, that's what I thought. Here, check this out. Where are we at? We're right here. So, the Lawbringer belt. The Lawbringer belt is also a BOE. So, there's two pieces of Lawbringers that are buy none equipped that you can buy off the auction house. One is bracers, and the other one is belt, if I recall correctly. And what's really funny about this is if I go to Gear Planner, let's go Gear Planner, let's go Paladin, let's put on the human so I don't mess up the dwarf one. I have no idea what our Humi is in. Oh, he's in Pure Lawbringer. Awesome. Yeah, I was showcasing, like, what is a good build, you know, blah, 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 blah. Lava Dredger is amazing, and the Pure Lawbringer suit with the fire resist is absolutely insane. You can see the fire resist is up here. This is BIS PvP gear for your Paladin before Alterac Valley comes out, before the ranking system comes out. Once the ranking system is out, however, you're putting on, like, I think I type in Knight. That's a bunch of Season of Discovery crap. What the fuck is this nonsense? Screw you. Nobody's interested in Lou. Is it L-E-U? You're just going to make me search for this crap, aren't you? Level. Cute. Ugh. Well, once we get the level, it'll be fine. Knight Lieutenants, the Season of Discovery ones. Yeah, I just have to type in Knight. At least I can see Lieutenant. It's L-I-E-U? Fuck. L-I-E-U. Okay. So, the Season of Discovery is level... What the fuck is going on here? I think this is the old classic WoW gear. Improve critical strike, stamina, increase healing, reduce the cooldown. Yeah, okay, this is the correct stuff. Okay, cool. So there's like an older version of the Knight Lieutenant's gear. There's like a more modern version of the Knight Lieutenant's gear. Level 71, just in case I can't find it. L-I-E-U, whatever, fuck off. L-I-E-U shoulders. I think it's just going to be Knight. Knight Lieutenant's chest plate. Okay, cool. And then we got more Knight gear and more Knight gear and boots, I think. Yes, boots. That's a Season of Discovery piece of crap. But it dawned on me that once I get the rank 10 gear, I can put on the rank 10 gear, and you'll notice that Lawbringer belt, which I can buy off auction house, and Lawbringer bracers, which I can buy off auction house, they fill out the 8-piece suit, right? I got 6-piece rank 10 gear, and I got Lawbringer's 2-piece. Not that it's doing anything for me, but it's just, you know, nice, solid, all stats epic gear. I can't complain there whatsoever. Then all I got to do is find a Dragonblood's cape out of Molten Core, and the Onyxia Tooth Pendant is really easy to get. So the Dragonblood cape is going to be the hardest thing to get in this whole shenanigans. I don't think we go fire resist gear with this build. So I would swap these out for, I don't think, what's it called? ZG won't be out by then, I don't think. Could be wrong about that. So we'll just swap out this fire resist for the stamina. You can see we're getting very close to 5,000 stamina. That's a shit ton of stamina. This is an insanely high amount of stamina. Probably the Lava Dredgers is doing things. Let's swap that out for an unstoppable force. Okay, cool. Our HP went down somewhat. Not that big of a deal. Heavy Dark Iron Ring is Heavy Dark Iron Ring is weird. She's like a Heavy Dark Iron Ring is it's a Ring of Reckoning before you get Ring of Reckoning. It's pretty easy to get in Molten Core. It's actually a really good ring. The better ring, of course, is the Myrmidon's Signet, but that is incredibly expensive off the auction house. So you can throw a Myrmidon Signet on there. Other than that, and then, of course, we probably want a Don Julio's band. I already bought it. It's fucking amazing. Just really, really good stats. Your HP breakpoint for this phase is like 4,400. So when you're running around like 4,800 hit points, you're well and truly over your HP breakpoint. You're like off into Narnia with your HP breakpoint. A little low on mana. That's the main issue with the rank 10 gear, is that it's quite low mana. But yeah, so it suddenly dawned on me that this is basically all I have to do. I'm like, oh, okay. So anyways, I'm starting to ramble. So I'll end the video here, and day is full.